Okay, so I'm from Portugal. So I live in Leiria, which is this city quite close to Lisbon. So Lisbon is the capital, so it's the biggest city in Portugal. Leiria, it's a bit smaller, I would say. I wouldn't say it's as big as Nottingham, but there's still like a lot of life and movement around it. I've always lived there. I live with my family. I live with my mom, my dad, and my sister. All of my friends back home are from there, obviously, and we've been like together for all of our lives, basically. So we went to the same schools ever since we were little kids, and yeah, I really miss them. I really enjoy being here, but obviously, it's always difficult to like deal with being away from home and being away from everything that used to be familiar before I moved here. In Portugal, the system is not exactly the same as here. So, for example, we have something similar to A levels, but it doesn't work quite the same. I did mostly science. So I did an exam that I would say is like equivalent to an A level in physics, chemistry, and biology, and maths as well in Portuguese. I also took like a Cambridge exam in English so that it would make me coming here easier, and it did, and I think it really helped me adjusting to everything here, not only in like a social way, but also in like an academic way. So I would say like my level of English has allowed me to better understand everything that I'm being taught while at uni. So I started considering what I would like to study in uni quite early on, but I never really did know what I wanted to study. So I really like maths and physics, and that's why I ended up choosing engineering. But I would say that my passion would be like learning in general, like getting to know more things about as many topics as I can. And I would say that that's a good thing on one hand, but on the other hand, it also made my decision of what subject I wanted to study more difficult, because obviously when you're choosing one course, you have to kind of like give up on all of the other courses. But that's one good thing about studying here in the UK. So I think that it's common between all unis here is the societies that they have. And in Portugal, we just don't have that. So everything is much more like focused on your course. Even like your group of friends, they're all from your course. And here, the fact that I'm able to join like a debating society is going to allow me to be in contact with, I don't know, like politics students. So I also get to like explore my other interests while still studying something that I really like and that I see myself working in the future. So I would say I always thought as going to uni as something that was bound to happen either way. So I don't actually remember making that decision. I guess it just felt natural, especially because, like I said, I've always enjoyed learning. I've always enjoyed school in general. So I guess it was like the logical next step, if you know what I mean. And about coming to the UK, I don't know. It just felt like a challenge that I wanted to make myself do. And obviously, going to uni, it's a very like impactful experience on anyone. And I guess that making myself move to another country just added to that experience. But it broadened my horizons in ways I could never have imagined. And I'm really glad I did, because it's just like, apart from everything academically related, like obviously the way things are taught here are sort of different from the way things would be taught in Portugal. And I think I appreciate the method, like the teaching method, more here than I would appreciate the one they use in Portugal. But it's just like all of the experiences that I get from being here, all the new friends I've made, even like the new culture that I get to like be in touch with. And that obviously everything's new, but I'm just like learning more and more every day. So both my parents went to uni, but they did it in Portugal. And I'd been to the UK before, both on holiday, and a couple of years ago I took like a crash course in English. So I came here for 2 weeks and I would stay with a resident family. And so we would have classes in the morning, like English classes, and then in the afternoon we would like do a bunch of activities. We visited a lot of different places, and I guess I kind of just like fell in love with the country, if you know what I mean. And I guess that was what pushed me to actually make the decision of coming here, because being here for such a long period of time made me realize I can actually see myself living here one day. I don't know if you're aware, but in Portugal, the way you go about applying to UK universities, I kind of went through an agency that supports students that want to come here. And so obviously they sit down with you, they talk to you, they talk about your preferences. Obviously, like, you have to keep in mind what marks you've been getting in school and everything. And because they're like very knowledgeable about it, they can like advise you on the best university, what would be the best fit for you. And so they talked about the University of Nottingham, and it did sound like a good university. So what we did was, I wanted to come to one of the open days, but obviously because I was living in another country, it wasn't that easy to arrange. And so the dates that they were proposing, the dates of the open days, I couldn't make it. So on a bit of a whim, my father and I, we decided to come here to visit uni by ourselves. We literally came one day and left the other. We only had like one morning to spare and to come to uni to visit. We were all by ourselves. We had no idea where to go, what to do, but everyone was super helpful. We kind of went to like the engineering department in uni, and we kind of just like ended up in the corridors where are the offices of all the professors. It was just like looking around. And then this really, really sweet lady saw us and she was like, "What are you doing here? Do you need any help?" And so we obviously like explained the whole situation, and she literally took me around all of uni. She took me to the workshops, she took me to lecture halls, and apart from her being extremely friendly, I fell in love with the campus, because obviously it's just like such a beautiful campus. I really liked it. I really liked the fact that everything is concentrated in the same place rather than being like a city campus, because in Portugal most unis have like city campus rather than campus like the campus of the University of Nottingham. And I really liked it, and the fact that I had the opportunity of coming here and actually see it rather than just make the decision based on, I don't know, some images I'd seen online, just made everything easier, made everything feel much more real, and I could really see myself there. No one can be indifferent to the lake. I guess it's just like such a beautiful landscape. Even now, I love going for walks around the lake with my friends. But I guess it was actually the workshops, like when that sweet lady took us there, the fact that I went there and I could see students just like 1 or 2 years older than me actually working and practicing what they were learning in lecture halls. It just made everything much more real in my eyes. I could see myself there, and I really appreciated the fact that we have the opportunity of actually doing stuff rather than just learning about it. I mentioned to this lady that there's a project called Formula Student, in which students basically have to come up with ideas for a Formula One car. And because in Portugal, some unis are also like involved in that project, I'd heard about it. And so I asked her about it. And so she took me to the actual workshop where they work on the Formula One car. And I talked to the student there. That was like, I don't know, the head of the project or something. So he walked me through everything they were doing. He also mentioned what they've been doing like the past couple of years, what competition they'd been involved in. And also, when we first arrived, we went to the Portland building, and so we talked to this student from Student Union, who also like pointed us towards the engineering department. My dad was so overwhelmed with everything, because like he did management, but he's like the head director of a company in Portugal that works within the like car industry. So obviously a lot of the things that we were seeing kind of hit close to home, and obviously he was amazed by everything, because we are aware of how things work in Portugal, and the dimension is just completely different, as it should be, because it's a smaller country, but at the same time, we were so overwhelmed by everything. I think he was more excited than I was about me coming here. He just like kept on taking photos of everything. He was just like mesmerized by all the buildings, all the machines we were seeing, all the opportunities he thought I would be having if I did come here. When I was looking online and everything, when I was researching University of Nottingham, everything felt kind of distant, you know what I mean? Because obviously it's like another country and you're just like looking at pictures rather than actually being in uni. And obviously like going to uni, it's a very like, it's an experience that has a huge effect on you, and like you're literally like thrown into something that's completely different from everything that you've experienced before. So I guess everything just felt kind of surreal. Like until the moment I actually came here, it just didn't feel like it was actually going to happen. But obviously, like everyone has high expectations when it comes to uni, because everyone tells you they're supposed to be like the best years of your life. So I guess I was kind of unlucky because obviously last year wasn't ideal because of like the lockdown situation, the pandemic situation. So I actually came here in September last year. I stayed for 3 months and then I went back to Portugal and just didn't come back at all until this last September, so until the beginning of my second year. So obviously my first year wasn't ideal in any way. I barely made any friends. I was in my room all the time, or I was actually in Portugal just having all my lectures online. That takes a toll on you, because obviously when you have like very high expectations and they're not met, you get like disappointed. So this year, I guess I came. I guess I didn't have as high expectations as before, but they've been completely surpassed. Because obviously, like this year, everything is sort of back to normal. We have the actual opportunity of meeting people, being around people. I'm in campus all the time. Last year, I would go to campus like, I don't know, once a week for 1 hour long seminar. Now I'm in campus from like 9 to 6 all the time. I've made friends within my course. I've met people in societies, in social events. I get to actually speak to my lecturers if I have a question rather than just, I don't know, email them, send them a message on the Teams chat. And yeah, I just love it. I guess I had an idea of how practical my course was going to be, but I never thought it would be that practical. The fact that we are taught something and immediately after we are presented with a way of applying that concept that we've just been told about, or the fact that we are actually forced to think about like real life situations and how we would solve this particular issue. For example, right now I'm working on a project. We're literally trying to design a thrust reverser system. So it's literally what makes a plane stop once it hits the ground. So the fact that you're learning something that's theoretical, but that at the same time you can clearly picture how that could be applied to any context in real life, that just like makes everything feel more real to you. So you actually feel like you're learning something that you'll be able to use like in the future when you become like an engineer. I guess obviously I didn't know a lot about Nottingham, but I researched a bit. I guess I just didn't expect it to be as big as it is and to have like as many life around it as it has. I think it's because there's a lot of students here. But yeah, I was really pleased about that. I just love going out, going for a walk around Old Market Square, just seeing tons of people, going to shops, little kids running around. Even the campus itself, like sometimes I go to campus during the weekend, and the fact that you can see like families playing in the park with the little kids, and it just feels surreal that they do that within the uni campus. But yeah, because compared to where I'm from, compared to my hometown, I would say it's a bit bigger and it has more people than I was used to have. But yeah, I really like it. So I was always a person that I always studied by myself. I just felt like I couldn't properly focus on anything if I was with other people, or that being around other people would just like make me distract from what I was trying to concentrate on. But I guess the pandemic really took a toll on me because it just made me feel very lonely. And obviously my course is quite demanding, and sometimes like when you're going through all of that by yourself, it makes you feel really lonely. So this year I'm at the library all the time. We just had our in-person exams in January, so I hadn't like properly done an exam in over 2 years, and I just spent the 2 weeks in the library with my friends. We would always study together, and I really can't picture myself having it any other way now, because just the fact that we can like push each other forward, motivate each other if one of us is feeling a bit down or is just like not into it as much. The fact that everyone else is working on it is going to sort of like motivate that person to actually work as well. And when I don't get something, someone else will get it. And then when someone else doesn't get something, I'll get it. And the fact that I'm explaining it to them also makes me like study and think about it. So yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't remember anything. It's not that I don't remember, but like my first week last year just wasn't memorable. You know what I mean? Like everything was online. It was just like presentation after presentation about the modules, about what we're going to be taught. Obviously that's important, that was interesting, but wasn't memorable at all, was it? And my most memorable memory this year was when we had our like first presentation, and I just went into this huge auditorium. Obviously I didn't know anyone. I was just feeling so socially awkward, you know? And so I saw this, because I'm doing mechanical engineering, there aren't a lot of girls. But yeah, I saw this row with like 5 or 6 girls sitting there, and I was like, should I go up to them and say hi? But then I just got too shy, so I ended up sitting in the row in front of them, but I wouldn't talk to them. And then when the presentation was over, we sort of all got up, and the girl behind me was like, hi, I really like your dress. And for some reason, I just felt so shy. I didn't even look at her. I was just like, thank you, bye. And I left the room. It was just so awkward. And then the day after, we had another meeting, another presentation, and this girl comes up to me, we start talking. We ended up like agreeing on having coffee the day after. We met for coffee, we were just like talking about, I don't know, about everything and nothing at all, about our experience in uni. And I ended up telling her the episode that happened to me. So 2 days before, like the fact that I couldn't even like interact with this really sweet girl that had complimented me, and she was like, it was me. And I was like, oh my God, no, I can't believe it. I'm really sorry. I barely looked at you. I'm so sorry I didn't recognize you. But yeah, thank you so much. So it kind of feels like fate, you know what I mean? And now we're like super close. She's my best friend within the course, and she has introduced me to all of my other friends within the course as well. And I've made it to that group of girls that was sitting in the row, and to whom I wanted to talk to, so yeah. I guess every time a lecturer attempts to make a joke, and I say attempts because obviously sometimes they're not as funny as they think they are, but yeah, because it just like makes me feel closer to them, if you know what I mean, makes me see them as people rather than just a lecturer. Because obviously like in uni, and that's something that it took me quite a long time to get used to, obviously, especially because it's such a huge cohort for mechanical engineering, you just have like a very distant relationship with your lecturers, and because last year everything was online, you would barely speak to them. They had no idea who you were. So like every time they attempt to look more human in our eyes, I really appreciate it, yeah. Because I'm an international student, everything worked differently, and I couldn't make up my mind about what I wanted to do, where I wanted to stay. I ended up applying, but then I didn't get a place in the halls I wanted to go to. So I ended up staying in like private accommodation in the city centre. So I was living by myself, which I guess like during the first year, it was okay because I was comfortable. I had my own space. I would always study in my room. So I made sure it was like a quiet place I could be in, but obviously just like added to the fact that I felt really, really lonely. And all of my other friends that were in halls, like all the friends they made during first year were the people they were living with. And obviously I didn't have that chance. I'm actually staying in the same place because obviously I went back home in December, then I didn't come back until this September, so almost like a year after that. So because I wasn't in Nottingham, I couldn't go and look for any houses. I didn't actually know anyone I could consider living with this year. So I'm still living by myself in the same place. But I spend more time at my friends' houses than in my own. It's actually like an inside joke between our friends groups because I'm always inviting myself over to everyone's because now that I actually have friends, I just can't stand the idea of being by myself, you know? I know I've mentioned this, but it's the lake for me. I love going for walks around the lake. Actually this year, after all of our exams, obviously we're like super stressed about them. So my friends and we would always go for walks around the lake. Sometimes we wouldn't even speak. We just like the fact that we could just like relax for a bit. And it's such a beautiful landscape. I had some friends coming over from Portugal, so they stayed over for the weekend. And I didn't actually know where to take them, like what to show them in Nottingham. And I ended up just showing them our campus and they fell in love. They loved it so much. We took so many cute pictures. It was during autumn, so like everything just looked so orangey and beautiful. And they loved it. And yeah, I love it as well. So I love going to Wallerton Park. Actually, this weekend we went there. We had a picnic there because it was my friend's birthday. And obviously the weather was just amazing. And it amazes me the fact that we can like be there and have like deer like running around us all the time. And it's so huge. I love that old mansion they have there as well. The lake, just walking around, being in close contact to nature. And for me, it's just like amazing that you can have that you can have like such a huge green space so close to the city centre, you know what I mean? You do get the best of both worlds. I would say that it's just students everywhere, isn't it? Like everywhere you go, you can see someone that looks like it's in the same situation as you are. So the whole environment is very academic and very studenty, if you know what I mean. And it kind of makes you feel like you're never alone. Because obviously sometimes it can be like kind of rough, like university itself in some aspects does take a toll on you. But the fact that you can always find someone else that's going through something similar to you just makes you feel, in a way, less alone. And I really like that. Well, I guess just being a student in uni, it's the best thing ever, isn't it? The uni itself is wonderful. I don't know how it is in other unis, but the fact that they do focus on other aspects rather than just the course itself, the fact that they actually push students to do other things, to like join societies, play a sport, go on social events. I just had my engineering ball last week and I had the best time of my life. So yeah, I guess like uni really is like the best years of your life. You're learning something that you like, you chose to be there. And the fact that you can do that while making friends that you're going to keep for the rest of your life and while having these sort of experiences that you wouldn't have any other way, yeah, that's what makes it the best years of your life. Oh yeah, it was so nice because we bought the tickets like over 3 months ago. So obviously when we realized it was actually happening this week, we were like, oh my God, no way it's happening now. So all of the like preparation was really cute. Like all of my friends and I just like looking for dresses online, sending pictures to each other, being like, oh, can I borrow your nail polish? You guys want to come over? I'll do your hair, I'll do your makeup. The whole like getting ready together was really nice. And then the venue was just amazing. It was a wedding venue. Obviously I was expecting fancy, but not as fancy. It was beautiful. There were fireworks. The fact that lecturers go as well. No, I really had the best time of my life. And then we had like the dance floor, the fact that we could actually like be around people from our course, because obviously because of the whole pandemic situation, during our first year we wouldn't be around people who were doing the same degree as we were a lot. And when you go to lectures, sometimes it's not the ideal environment to actually go up to them and talk to them and actually get to know them. So the fact that we had like this other social component of our course that allowed us like get in touch with other people, talk about, I don't know, even if you talk about the course itself, you're just like getting to know them, you're just like making more friends.
What was the food like?
Oh, it was really good actually. So I also went to this other formal event back in December. So it was a boat party, which is nice as well, but the food was just like not it. So we were promised a 3-course meal, and then they ended up serving us just like chili with rice. But I can't do spicy food, and the chili was like really, really spicy. So I ended up having rice for dinner. So my expectations weren't too high for the engineering bowl, but they were completely surpassed. So we had a 3-course meal. We had like this like table with tons of sweets. You could just like go and take them. We had a chocolate fountain as well. So yeah, it was definitely an upgrade. Yeah, I don't know if I'm being repetitive or not, but I guess it really is like the practical component. The fact that for example, we just had like this group project, we would like design a whole concept during first term, and now this term we're actually like going into the workshop and making everything we designed before. Because obviously when you're just like designing something that's not actually going to be made, or that it's someone else's problem to make, you don't look at it the same way. But we actually had to like design everything considering that we were going to be the ones to actually machine it and make it. And the fact that now we're able to make something that we design and actually see it come to life and actually work just makes you feel like a real life engineer. No, actually, yeah, it did take me quite a long time to get used to it. And sometimes I still do struggle because obviously I'm working with machines that I never used before in my life. But all the technicians are like super helpful. They clearly are very passionate about what they do, and they actually like incentivize us to go into the workshop. Even like if we don't have anything scheduled, they're like, if you want to come, and like even if you want to do something for yourself, just like machine something that you're going to take home, you're more than welcome. Just like make sure you're like comfortable around these machines, because that's the basis, the principle of being an engineer. To be fair, I really don't mind. I've never felt I don't know. I've never felt like there was any type of discrimination towards me for being a woman rather than, or for being a girl rather than a boy or anything. Everyone is super helpful. What I do struggle with is when we go into the workshop, sometimes I can't tighten the machines. I'm not strong enough. But that's what men are for anyways, isn't it? And actually, no, it's actually quite funny because like sometimes we go into the workshops and I would say that in general, every girl is just like very open about what they can and what they cannot do. So they really don't mind asking for help because after all, we're there for that. Like we're there to learn. But like, it's so funny because like all the guys, even when they don't get something, they're just so proud. So they can't ask for help. And sometimes it's like so funny to see them struggling, but like trying to maintain this front of a guy that knows what he's doing. And then when they come to you for help, this is like the best. Yeah, totally. Even like how approachable all the lecturers are. So sometimes I'll email them and they like reply to me, I don't know, at any given time of the day, even like during the weekends. All of them in general are very approachable about being emailed with questions. Last year especially, some of them would just like have a one-to-one Teams call with me to just like walk me through something. The fact that you know like people within your course also helps, obviously, because you can you know what you all are going through and you can like help each other. And even like older students, like third years, fourth years, some of them are peer mentors. So like if you ever have any question, any difficulty, they're literally the best person to help you because they've been there a year ago. So my degree is like 5 years long. So I'm on my second year. I'll still be here next year, and then I'll start applying for placements on my 4th year. So I'll have to like start worrying about it in the beginning of next year. So I actually haven't properly taken advantage of the career services, but I know they're very helpful because some of my friends, they're doing a 3-year program or like a 4-year program. So their placement is actually like next year. So they've been like working on it ever since the beginning of this year. And they all say that in general, they're like super helpful. They'll have like meetings with you, help you prepare for interviews. They like look over your CV, advise you on how to like improve it. So last year, in one of the occasional times I went to uni, I kind of bumped into this girl and we just like started talking. And like she just finished her degree the year before that, but she was like involved with this group called Friends International. So it's like a group with connections to church, and all they do is literally get together and welcome international students that might feel, I don't know, homesick or that might need some extra support. And so actually during last year, I would go to a lot of their events. Obviously, they were mostly online, but sometimes it was just like, I don't know, like a big chat during like 1 or 2 hours in the evening. We would like talk about different cultures, our experiences in general. I met this really sweet lady that, I don't know, took me to lunch this one time, and it was just like, there was this one time we also like went for a walk during like the worst period of lockdown when you were literally only allowed to go for a walk with one person. We went for a walk one day, and that's the thing. It was a very simple gesture, but at that time, because I would be by myself all the time, just like in my room by myself, it made my day, the fact that I could go out and just like talk to someone for a couple of hours. I would say it's the people I've met, like my fellow students, some of the people I've been talking to that are like super passionate about what we're studying. They just like inspire me, because obviously I also like the subjects I'm studying, but the fact that I'm surrounded by people who are as passionate as I am, it just inspires you and pushes you forward and makes you want to be even better. Yeah, so like I mentioned, I joined the debating society, which is something I've always appreciated. Even when I was like back in Portugal, I was involved in some projects about, I don't know, just like discussing things in general, debating, talking in public. I've always appreciated that, oral presentations in school and everything. So yeah, I joined the debating society, and I really like it because usually our sessions are like divided into 2 parts. So during the first half, what they would do is literally teach us how to properly debate, because it might come across as something very trivial, but the fact that you have someone actually teaching you how to build a proper argument or how to, I don't know, structure your speech, it's something that's very valuable regardless of the area you're going to be working in the future. And then the second half, they actually make us debate. So we are split into different groups. It's all very like laid back and casual. You're not pressured at all. But the fact that you're given the opportunity to just like talk about any team you want, it's really good. And like I said before, it makes me be around people that are not doing the same degree as I am. So people with different interests, people to whom I can speak to about a multitude of subjects rather than just my own. And it also allows me to explore other interests that I might have and that just simply are not included in my own degree. So I've joined the badminton society. So I only play it in like a social way. I don't go to any of the competitions or anything, but it's just a nice way of blowing off some steam, you know. After a whole day of lectures, the fact that I can just go to David Ross, which is amazing, by the way. I really like that sports centre. The fact that I can just like go to David Ross, talk to people that are doing like other subjects, that have like their own issues, but just like talking to other people, playing a bit of badminton. I also have like a gym membership, so sometimes I'll go to like different gym classes, and I like to drag my friends with me, and those are like really fun experiences as well. The fact that we're like all sweating at each other and like suffering together. Yeah, I really miss my family, obviously, and I really do struggle about not having them around all the time, because I have like this younger sister as well, and we're quite close. So that's one of the biggest struggles I have about living by myself, is that when I'm home, I'm always surrounded by someone. So I'm never in my room. I always tend to study, I don't know, in the kitchen while my mum's cooking dinner, or in the living room besides my sister. So even though we're not like talking to each other or like interacting particularly, we're just like around each other, and I really appreciate having people around me all the time, and that's definitely why I tend to invite myself so much over to other people's houses. I just like being around people. That I do need to have people around me. No, I used to think of myself as a very independent person, and I know I am an independent person now, because obviously when you come to uni, when you live by yourself, when you have to do your own cooking, your own laundering, your own cleaning up, you grow a lot, and you actually realize how responsible you can be, and actually how strong you can be as well, because obviously it's not always easy. Sometimes it's hard, but the fact that I've been able to go through all of this, especially like during a pandemic, obviously I've realized how strong I am, but it has also made me realize how much of a people person I am. So I really appreciate social interaction. I really like being around other people. So yeah, I would definitely say independence. The fact that you rely on no one but yourself to get things done, and that you always have to be more conscious about everything that you're doing. You have to be more responsible. And I guess that's like a skill that you're going to use regardless of what you do in the future, and that's something that's always going to benefit you. And the fact that you become a person that can solve problems in general, like any issue you're presented with, if you have a mindset that allows you to just like look at it in a practical way and just look for the easiest or like more efficient solution, I really can't think of anything more useful than that. Yeah, well, the first thing they told us during our first week of first year was that an engineer is someone that solves problems. So yeah, I guess it's that. It's just like trying not to overthink about things, just looking at everything in a very practical way and looking at everything as an issue that can be solved. You just need to find a solution, regardless of it being like an academic context or like even in your life. In your everyday life, if you're presented with something, with an obstacle, if you look at it in a practical way, just think there's a solution, I just need to find it. That's something that's just like super useful, and that's going to like carry you through. I do tend to overthink a lot. I guess I just try to like take a step back, look at things in a rational manner, because obviously I'm kind of an I'm a very emotional person. I tend to get like super invested in things, but sometimes yeah, it does help to just like take a step forward, try to look at things in a rational way. Sometimes I just write everything down and look at it as a problem to be solved, rather than this like huge issue that's going to affect you in an awful way. Yeah, for me the worst thing was definitely during my first year being by myself all the time, because obviously I was bound to be homesick anyway, right? But the fact that I didn't have anyone around me to kind of like counteract that homesickness just made everything more difficult and worse. But this year, just being around other people, sometimes even if I don't feel like it, just like forcing myself to go to socials, to talk to people, and it always ends up paying off in the end of the day, because you just like feel closer to other human beings, and it makes you realize you're not as alone as you think you are. Yeah, to be fair, it's just like being a 180 change, if you know what I mean, like how I was last year and how I am this year. I just feel like I'm a completely different person. Like the situation has changed so much, and it just makes me appreciate my friends even more, because I know what it felt like to just not know anyone, not having the chance to be around anyone. And like now that I actually have the opportunity to be around other people in a social context and also to have some support in an academic way, just makes me value human interaction in my friendships and my relationships much more. I don't know, I'm trying not to put a lot of pressure in myself, because obviously I hate making decisions, because I always feel like when I'm choosing something, I'm giving up on something else. So it's never been easy for me, even like choosing a degree to study. Back home when I was in school, when I was younger, and I would have to choose what subjects to do. I never liked it, because it always feels like I'm limiting myself and restraining myself. And you know, like all of the what ifs. What if you had chosen something else? What if you had gone to another country? But that's the thing, I'm trying not to put a lot of pressure in myself, just living each day as it is, always trying to give my best to everything, like put all of myself into everything that I do, and kind of just trust the process. I really don't know, no, because I'll be doing a placement, and hopefully that will make me realize what I like and what I don't, or like what areas in the engineering field I see myself working in or not. I really like maths as well, and we have like this management module this semester, which I'm really appreciating. So maybe finance is the way. I really don't know. Yeah, my friends make fun of me because they're like, how can you like put yourself through all of this, like a 5-year degree on engineering to then go into finance? But yeah, I guess it's just like, it's what life had in store for me. Yeah, I think I would like to have a placement maybe in finance, like in the finance area or consultancy, to see if it's actually something I could see myself doing in the future. But I don't want to like close the door on actual engineering right away as well. So I'm considering having a placement in, I don't know, automotive or something related to sustainable energy as well. So like closer to engineering, just like see if I like it or not, or if I can see myself doing it in the future professionally. To be fair, I'm very lucky in that matter, because my parents just like, they support any decision I make. Obviously, should be a reasonable one. They would be pleased. But yeah, they support me, and they're already like very pleased with everything I've accomplished so far. I think my father, as he would just love for me to work in Formula One, for example, but I've already told him it's not going to happen. But yeah, I guess they don't mind if I end up in finance as well, because they're both related to that industry. So my dad did management and my mum did economics. So I guess the apple just doesn't fall far away from the tree. Obviously, I'm like no way near the end, because it's a 5-year degree and I'm barely managing to finish my 2nd year. But I guess that besides a huge sense of accomplishment, because I don't know what next year holds, but obviously just having completed my 1st and 2nd year, I know how great that's going to feel like, how accomplished and fulfilled I'm going to feel. But at the same time, I think that degree will just going to be a proof of everything I would have lived over the past 5 years. So it's going to hold all of these memories I already cherish so much, and all of the memories that I'll still make over the next 3 years. I guess I just want to be fulfilled, both in my personal and professional life. So as long as I'm doing something that makes me feel accomplished and that makes me feel like I'm contributing towards something bigger than me, I'll be happy. And that's my dream. I mean, I know this sounds very cheesy and cliche, but everyone just wants to be happy, right? So everything that I've done over the past couple of years has been towards that goal, towards one day being able to have a life that makes me feel happy and that makes me feel fulfilled, and that has and that makes everything else worth it. When I was younger, I wanted to be president of Portugal. I don't know anymore. I've had so many like crazy ideas over the past couple of years. I really like baking, so I went through this phase where I really wanted to have like my own bakery in Paris. So who knows?